Hello and welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I would like to welcome you on an adventure with me. It has been so long since I've got to come to the Memphis Herb Society meeting, monthly meeting at that. And tonight, a dear friend is doing a workshop that helped me do the goldenrod workshop. Reni is going to talk about container gardenings. So let's get out of this car and get in there before I'm late. I'll see you back here after a while. Walking up to the Memphis Botanic Garden. It is usually always so pretty, lit up at night. Beautiful papaya trees. Little pineapple is still there and growing. We just need some rain badly. Memphis Herb Society. Thank you. Have a great night. All kinds of plants for sale.
I know you.
Nothing like walking in and getting a big hug. Beautiful artwork. Oh, that's pretty. I like that one. Oh, the colors on that one. That's pretty. Morning Glory. That is pretty. That's definitely interesting. All right, I'm heading in.
I think simple syrups that night. So again, a really practical program that will give us some good advice, particularly going into the winter months. Um, all right. I'm Anita Lotz, by the way, and if we haven't met, hopefully we'll have a chance to exchange a few words before our evening is over. It is September, and for those of you that received the newsletter this week, and if you took a look at my part of the newsletter, I brought up a couple of things. One, the Botanic Garden that hosts us here is having a plant sale the first week in October, I believe Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yes, the 5th through the 7th. The 5th is exclusively for members of the Botanic Garden, and so if you are not a member of the Botanic Garden, this is a great time to go ahead and get a membership. Um, you get free admission to the Botanic Garden all year long. You get a great newsletter every month with information about upcoming programs that they have here. You get reciprocal memberships at a number of botanic gardens around the country. And you also get an early bird opportunity to purchase plants both in the fall and in the spring. So for those of you with holes in your landscaping, mark your calendars for the 5th, 6th, or 7th and plan to come here and purchase some plants. There will also be some experts here with the master gardeners who will be able to answer questions about plants. And as always, they will have an emphasis on native plants, things that grow well in this area. The other thing that I wanted to bring up tonight is we are starting on the process of putting together a slate of officers for the Herb Society for next year. That slate typically is presented in advance of our November meeting and will vote at our November meeting, which is also our silent auction this year. We will slate a president, a vice president, recording secretary, and membership secretary. Ginger Wynn has graciously offered to remain as treasurer for another year. Yay! So we'll have good continuity there. But if you are interested in one of these other offices, please talk to me or talk to Ginger. We would love to let you know what all is involved. Also, we do have a nominating committee of which Ginger is the chair as the immediate past president for the Herb Society, but that committee needs a few volunteers as well. So if you would like to be on that committee, just let me know. Thank you so much to the Herb Society sponsors. Thank you so much for everyone that brought refreshments tonight. We still have refreshments on the table, so don't leave tonight hungry. Enjoy the things that are here. Do we have any other business? All right, then I'm going to turn the program over to Reni Erskine, past president of the Herb Society, and she's going to present a very timely program as we are looking at our gardens and what we need to bring in and what we need to do to plan for next year. Thank you.
So let us start with the idea that container gardens have pros and cons. So my first introduction to container gardens happened in Austria. And that's where people didn't have money. So they take coffee cans, old pots, everything, and it would be all over the house, decorating the house. And it's beautiful. And so that's how I kind of started. And then it was like, there's too much of a good thing. But here's some more pictures of that. Up the stairs, just some fun things, and even in seashells. So these things are maybe not things that we can do here because there may not be enough rain as there's over there. The climate is different. Now, that's what makes it special, those flowers that can be found. So why do we want to even container garden? We can gain some space. Are you living in a small area? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I was wondering if they could turn down the lights maybe up front.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
So let's say you have a patio or you're living in a place that doesn't have a lot of room to grow things. A container can be that answer because you can immediately have something to grow in. So this summer, I actually last minute decided to put up a raised bed. And I took rebar and some rotting pieces of wood, I'll admit that, made a box, haphazard, filled it with, I had straw and soil, and grew some pumpkin. It works. So we can do that. We gain space, and we can grow climate-sensitive varieties. For instance, if you look at this next picture, this is a Persian lime, and I've had it for 10 years.
I have one.
Yeah, I admit, I carry it in, I pull it out, but do you see, we have limes on there. Right at the bottom, there's a lime. And when I looked this week, I believe I have 5 of them, because they're ever blooming, so it's fun. I also have Meyer lemons. So that's something you can do in a container garden that you cannot do outside in our area. You have a greater control over the pests when you have a container, and greater control over how you're fertilizing and what the soil is. Now, I brought some rosemary. Rosemary likes a lot of drainage. It likes gravel, whereas basil likes more humid, more humus in the mix. So you can specifically target the plant, what you put in the container. And that's a great advantage. The cons for container gardening is it requires a lot of watering. And that depends on what your container looks like and how you've built it. And we will address that later. So here's a container. It's kind of quirky looking. I thought I'd include it. It's called the crafty method. And I grew salad. And I grew it indoors. And I had 3 months of salad. And I went on a week's vacation. And it automatically took care of itself. So that's an opportunity for another class. But it's a great way to do things. You can replant with containers. When one thing's finished, this year I had some things like salad, well, out it went, and something else went in, like sweet potatoes. In my little group, we're really pushing sweet potatoes because it's so easy to grow. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the stems, you can do that throughout the year, and then you can harvest. And I have a friend who yesterday ate a sweet potato from last September's harvest. Wow, so they hold, okay, and they're one of the most nutritious vegetables that there are. More nutritious than broccoli, from what I understand. And they're easy to grow, so perhaps consider that. It can be done in a container. Now, I've never done that, had tomatoes grow like that, but I have put tomatoes in a 5-gallon bucket. My success didn't look like that, I will admit, but we did have cherry tomatoes. All right, out of the box. What are some of the possibilities? Well, I talked about the rotten wood and the rebar, and I just threw it together in one afternoon. I really did, and I planted it. Because I didn't have enough room for what I wanted, because all my garden beds went into sweet potatoes. Matter of fact, I have 2 kinds of purple and 4 kinds of orange sweet potatoes, different kinds, which is going to be really interesting. All right, look at this. What does that look like to you?
Living walls.
Yes, and what's it made of?
Gutters.
And what else? What's it sitting in?
Rain gutters.
Rain gutters. So that would be a way, if you had the side of a garage or some sort of a wall that doesn't have, in our area, have the sun hit it all day, you could put lettuce and it would grow. So you wouldn't need to think, I don't have any place to plant something. I can put it in a rain gutter. Another type
What's the soil?
the soil mix, I really have liked what I found in Costco. And I know not everybody can get there, but it's Miracle Grow, what I use. I don't know what they use. This is not my place. But I've had really good success with that, with the crack key method. Some with soil, some with water, hydroponics.
Do you think you could do that?
I think one could. I think it would be worth an experiment. To be honest with you, I'm a dumpster diver. For the last year, I've been going up and down the streets looking for rain gutters.
Me too.
Up to now, I haven't found any. And I even was at the Amnesty Day for Germantown, and not one rain gutter came through. And I was on the lookout. So here's another way. The rain gutters are a little larger, perhaps, and it's very attractive looking. We don't have to necessarily have flowers. We can have herbs. We can have vegetables. We can have salads. All sorts of possibilities are there. Okay, so I brought buckets. One could dress up the buckets with spray paint, build something and put the buckets in, and it would not be an eyesore, right? Could be attractive.
So those would be determinate tomatoes, you must?
I think either. It probably depends on what you like to eat. I happen to be some Cherokee fans, purple Cherokees. I like the dark tomatoes. They're wonderful. All right. What if you don't have a box? What's wrong with this? Nothing. It works. It really works.
The older Russian does that in the back of his truck.
There you go, and he drives around town with it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the bag, you cut out the top, and then you poke holes at the bottom for drainage. And you have a container.
Sorry about
So what we're talking about is being creative and not being locked into a box. If you can see the bottom, they're bags. And there's a string attached to the bag, so it's not a great photograph, but the cantaloupe are winding up the string and hanging there for harvest. And a lot of these ideas come from the Philippines, because the Philippine people are really, they're poor people. And whatever they have to make good use of, and that's where I got that idea. The practicing lettuce method. So they have maybe a porch somewhere or the side of the house, and they make it fertile, they make things work. They use their ingenuity, and we can do the same thing. We can be ingenious and creative. Another way to use the bags, it needs a little bit more watering unless there's a reservoir. Or I have used bags where I put a liner in it of plastic so everything doesn't immediately run out, but so that I can capture some of the water. Cabbage, bok choy grows great in this area, and it's so good for you. It's so fun in stir frying soups. Okay, I tried that, vegetables in a box. It's just a cardboard box, so maybe an apple box where you put one inside the other. It's not gonna last more than a season. But if there's something that you would like to grow and you happen to have put sweet potatoes in all your beds.
Is that yours?
No, my box fell apart. I put cantaloupe in it. So that's someone's idea, and you see how they're using straw as mulch in between. And you can line them up, you can make it prettier, you can be creative with it. And more bags. Again, good soil, good watering. You don't want it to dry out. Containers tend to dry out. All right, this is an expensive method, so I don't have one of these. They're quite costly. They do work because there's a water supply at the very bottom, and you water from the top, and it turns, and you can harvest your lettuce. So you would have lettuce year-round that way. There are plant towers that go inside or outside, depending if you have a grow light. Now, this is my favorite, kiddie pool. So in our group of ladies at church, we've been trying to encourage each other to grow sweet potatoes because they're so good for you and they're so easy to grow. Well, she has a swimming pool in her backyard, and she teaches swimming to little kids. For 20 years. And there's no room for a garden. So she thought, a kiddie pool. So she put soil in it with holes at the bottom so the water could come out, it wouldn't get waterlogged. And she had, this is this year's photograph. Beautiful harvest of sweet potatoes. Don't know what the poundage is going to be, but she can pull it along. If it's in a shady spot, she can bring it into the sun. It's very movable, very versatile. We can do things like that. We can figure things out. All right, then there's hypertufa. That's heavy. We can make our own containers. I've done that. We've had classes here at the Memphis Botanic Garden. Concrete, peat, and vermiculite. And you can get some really lovely shapes, such as. Now, something that I've done is a potato bucket. And these are mineral buckets used for cattle. So it's large. It's larger than 5 gallons, probably around 10, 20. And I kind of discovered that those things existed by watching a YouTuber who I really, really like, and I'd like you to check it on him. It's called Gardening with Leon. Now Leon is in his 80s. He has a tomato production serves Chicago, so he needs to get his crop in early. He has to watch his costs. So he tries to cut back on his water use, and we'll come to that later. Because they're drawing from the Ogallala aquifer, and that is dropping, and also his heating. So he's come up with this wonderful idea of self-watering, which we'll cover tonight. So I thought, I have this potato bucket, I've got some throw some straw in, I think I'll grow some potatoes. And I did, and I harvested them, and it works. And why not? White potatoes. Why not? I have the container.
So how much soil did you put in it?
There was this much soil, this much hay, and then I thought, after they started growing, you put some more dirt in. You know, you keep adding dirt as it gets taller. But I wouldn't have had potatoes because it's right next to my beehive. And who's going to be digging or tilling right next to their beehive? Nobody. But instead, I can, drag it over there, put potatoes in. Didn't disturb the bees. There was no loud noise. I'm not chopping around. They were happy. I was happy. The potatoes were happy. It worked out really well. All right. So as you consider container gardening, you really need to consider, what do you like to eat? And what vegetables have the greatest yield potential? Or herbs, right? Like basil. I have one of these large buckets that has basil from South America, so it's different from what we usually have. And I've been using that in soups and sauces, and it's right outside my back door. It's huge, huge. So that works really well.
What type of basil is it?
It's from Bolivia, and I can't tell you the type it is. But if you ask Sherry, she would.
She has got some good.
Yeah. She has. All right. The other thing is, what's my budget? Well, I'm not going to buy a tower, a vegetable tower. That's in the hundreds of dollars. I can't do that, or I won't do that. However you'd like to say that. But I can do these other things with the smaller containers. And they work. The next thing is my time constraint. And actually with containers that have self-watering, the time constraint is really good. So Leon's thought was, he has hundreds of tomatoes in his greenhouses. And he has to make a living. So he can't have a bunch of people running around watering all the time. So he builds these self-water containers. And then he also thought, what about truckers or other people who are on the road who can't water every day? And so the self-watering containers, you water once a week, and they last all week. And you have a harvest. So that appealed for time constraints. And then another thing, do you have any help building anything? I don't in my house. I just have to go, okay, I'm doing this, and just push on through. So those are some of the things that I do. All right. I would definitely make a plan, and I keep notes from year to year, and know, boy, this didn't work, or this worked. And this plant likes that type of an environment, or this other one doesn't. Because you don't want to do the same thing over and over, the same mistake over and over. You want to have success. So you make a plan. Then the other thing I think is really important with gardening in the Mid-South is you don't give up. You just keep trying. Like the tomato crop last year and this year. Nothing to write home about. But you just keep trying because you like tomatoes, and you'll figure it out. Figure out something that will work. You'll pay more attention. You'll water better. You'll fertilize better because you've kept notes and you're paying attention. And I do love YouTube. There's some wonderful sources on YouTube. Hugh Grant out of England. Of course, he has this super duper wonderful climate. And it doesn't seem like he has many bugs. And certainly, I don't think, well, they did have a drought this year. So there are different things that we all fight and try to come to grips with. All right. So this is the end of my presentation. I would love to entertain some questions from you, and then we'll talk about the self-watering container. Do you have any questions for me?
What's your favorite, like, what's your favorite method of container gardening?
My very, very favorite, where I had immediate success and no failures, this. An immediate success and no failures. Now, what I did was I sat for 2 weeks and listened to Philippine YouTubes speaking Tagalog. I don't understand a word of Tagalog, but I watched and I watched and I watched. And I watched the same thing over and over again until I figured it out. So I planted lettuce, and we ate lettuce every day practically for 3 months.
What soil did you put in?
This is the good part. So this is another class, really. This is hydroponic. So there's water with a special fertilizer mix, which is very, very inexpensive. This is the only thing I purchased, these little cups from Amazon.
Oh, you made the whole thing?
Yeah.
It's just a
These are from
box.
styrofoam where I hit a Kroger, hit the fish department, and I had to negotiate.
They wouldn't give it to you?
This is fish, this is a fish container, and we can't give you this. So then I go to the manager and I go, I know you're very much into recycling, and I can help you with this. So now when they see me coming by, oh, you're the lady that grows lettuce. So you can do it with rock wool or with soil. And again, I really like the combination I'm getting from Costco. I really think it's high quality. And I'm saving dryer mint of all things. You could use you could use cotton. So this is mostly cotton and wool, or I don't have polyester really. So I put that in the bottom so it'll catch the soil, put soil in, stick a chopstick, and then I transplant each seedling goes into it. One seedling that's sprouted into each cup. And I put the fertilizer water mixture so it touches the bottom four. And then I have grow lights. So I have a table that's about 3 by 6 with 2 grow lights. And I had lettuce for 3 months, solid. And that's when everybody was going, oh, there's no lettuce in the store. But there was at my house.
So it just grew up and you
It-
harvested everything.
what
and
happens
you
is-
grew again?
You clip it, or what I would do is I would just cut it off, and I'd start my next, after 2 months, I had a next batch of seedlings ready. And I watched even that very, very carefully on these Filipino YouTubes, because they would have 5 or 6 different people doing it. This is for the poor. This is a cash crop to get their families out of poverty. So you come to some farms where there's a piece of plastic and boards stuck together, and that's all there is. And you come to some places where it's inside, lots of lights, beautifully done. So either end works, and they're getting a cash crop out of it. So that was good enough for me. I thought, this is going to work, and it worked beautifully. And I would love to go over that sometime if anybody's interested at a later date. Because actually, I'm going to start my new crop for this month. Any other questions? Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say about the lettuce. Another English person who has taught me a lot about vegetable gardening is Charles Dowding.
Yes.
And what he does with his lettuce, and I've started doing with mine, and it lasts all winter and into the spring is you only pick the outer leaves so that the growing tip is constantly growing. So eventually your lettuce gets
Taller.
like a stem,
Yeah.
you know, and it gets tired and ready to make seeds, but it will last a lot longer than when people grow it just to harvest at a head
Yeah.
all at one time. But there's a lot of advantages to doing the head versus doing the leaves.
It's fun.
It
You can-
is,
You
yeah.
can have different kinds, romaine, butterhead,
Yes,
you know,
I love it.
yeah, and you find it ones that are really responsive. And one of the key elements to doing it at home is having a very good grow light
Yes.
inside. And I stumbled on that after some research. You know, I thought, this one's not working. Plants are too leggy over here, what I saw. This one's not working, it's too leggy. So I stumbled on a spider farmer who supplies marijuana growers. Ah. And they had 2 lights for vegetables. So I knew this is going to work, and it did marvelously. And it wasn't that expensive, you know, I mean, yeah, no. So I have a table, I have 2 grow lights, and I have all these boxes, and I'm ready to go. Now, let's talk about Leon, because it's his idea, gardening with Leon. So here he is, and I have some finished ones. So this is from dumpster diving. And this is going home as a door prize for someone. And this is going home for a door prize for someone. And this also with a rosemary. Okay, we turn the lights on. So the idea with the self-watering container is that you have something at the bottom that takes up space. Okay? This is the way he started. But then when he was teaching other people at home, they may not want to invest in
Drain hoses?
drain pipes. Right. I didn't invest. I found them on the street, and these are from Amnesty Day. People were throwing away brand new ones. Put it in the back of my car and knew I could find good use for it here. Okay, so this is the water level. Now, in a smaller container, because I know we've come across that, we have holes, right? So what do we do with that? Well, you line it with plastic, and you line it up the side to whatever level you would like the water to be. On the inside, you use whatever you have. And so somebody drank Diet Cokes from me, and I punched holes in it. Because the water has to go in, and the water has to come out. Can't be a closed container, right? It's just there to make some volume. Then the next step is landscape cloth. Now, if you didn't want to go out and purchase landscape cloth, you could use a regular piece of cloth, right? But that rots. I don't know, it lasts 1 season, 2, which is fine. But the landscape cloth has a much longer life. And what you do is you try to wrap your spacer. So in this case, down here, you would wrap all this. You're trying to keep the water in one part and the soil in the other. You don't want the soil to migrate down into your spacers. Now, he has some of those big buckets that we saw for animal feed, and he uses milk cartons or soda bottles, 2 liter, and he just punches holes everywhere so the water can go in and the water can go out. Now, the next step is, how high do you want it? And do you want your plants to drown? That's the question my husband asked me today. He said, your plants are gonna drown. And I'm going, no. Because we drilled a hole. So I measured the pipe, it's 5 inches, and I drilled a hole at 5 inches. So in here, I have my pipes. I'm going to wrap them up, tuck them under so the soil can't get into the pipes. Then I have this gizmo, and please note that it's cut at an angle. So when you cut it down into there, you can water. And it doesn't get, if it were flat, it would hit the flat bottom of the bucket. It would be more difficult, right? So with this angle, the water goes through. It'll go up to the proper height, and then you're gonna notice, oh, the water's coming out, I can stop, right? Stop watering, because the water comes out. Then the plant wicks, the roots go down, and wicks up what it needs. It doesn't wick up more than it needs. It only takes up what it needs. So this is what he's doing to make a profit on his multi-greenhouse, hundreds of tomato plants. And it's a brilliant idea, and he shared it all over.
So the soil, the landscape cloth is down in the bottom, wrapped around your tubes. And then you fill it up with dirt, soil, compost, whatever it is that you use, and yes, you have that in there.
Yes.
How high up do you put the soil in your bucket?
How high would you like it?
I don't know, because for instance, you're going to grow potatoes.
Then I would go as far as I possibly could,
All right.
because tomatoes
We have a lot of
benefit
roots.
by being deeply
Yeah.
planted.
Right,
So that's what I would do for tomatoes.
okay.
So do
Because
the
you have
roots,
at least, 12 inches here?
do the roots go through the landscaping
No.
cloth?
No,
They do not.
They do not.
They do
No,
not.
it's
They
just
just
out.
go
They
around
do go around it.
and they start wicking it up. The cloth helps it wick up into the soil. And I was gonna show you how easy this was gonna be. I don't know if you want a demo or not. So these are the only tools you can get. This, to make the hole. This, to cut the PVC. And no, I didn't cut it. I asked my sweet husband to do it, and he said each cut took 30 seconds. Okay, for a woman, maybe it takes a minute. I don't know. All right, so I believe I have marked it. I hope I marked it. Nope, I didn't. So these are 5 inches. I think I'm gonna go about here. All right. All right, and you're ready to go. So if you want to make it pretty, you spray paint it. If you don't want to make it pretty, I'll leave it the way it is.
Looks fine.
Good.
It's a flag on it.
I love it. All right. Are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't have a question, but
then what are you gonna do?
the idea for the self-watering,
That wasn't my idea.
yeah,
I'm not claiming it's a brilliant thought.
here's the idea. We used something like that, but it was for inside plants. We just
You
took,
can do that with
We
a
should-
piece of,
we took a clear base, put clay balls. First we put a string, like a twine, clay balls, dirt. And that's it's kind of like that idea.
right? And you can do something else. You can just have a wick go from the plant into a glass of water and it'll wick it.
Mhm.
All right, yes.
So, I'm completely new at all this. So, this is like ground zero question. But I was telling your friend, for the first time ever, I grew tomatoes, little cherry tomatoes, and they have a million, I can't believe it's almost October. But
Mhm.
they're not gonna last forever. So, what would be a good crop to plant over the winter? I mean, it has to be outside. I
So
can't
you're
do
thinking
it.
about an outside crop. Okay, and so is this a protected crop? You don't have a cover over it of any kind, it's
No.
just, okay,
But it's in a super sunny, it's like my
Sounds lovely.
sunniest location.
sounds lovely. So, for myself and my family, so I'm gonna harvest all those sweet potatoes. We're gonna eat them all year long. And in those spots, I'm gonna put cover crop, but a part of the cover crop is going to be Russian kale.
Mhm.
because kale is super healthy. And that combination, I mean, I don't care what grocery prices are doing. If I have a kale salad, I'm gonna be happy, right? Or if I have sweet potatoes with kale. So kale makes a really good cover crop. Um, You could do bok choy. You could put in garlic, but you have to get busy and get it shipped to you right away, or go to your grocery store and get garlic. I've just had some shipped to me. You could do onions, stick onions in. They would be the garlic and the onions would be harvested in the spring, towards summer. Um, Teresa?
Collards,
Collards.
cabbage, broccoli,
Is it
Brussels
not a little bit
sprouts.
late for that?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. And you could make a shelter for it, and there's a real easy way to do it, of course. Rebar, PVC pipe, and a piece of plastic over that, and just cut a few little holes so it doesn't get steamed in there when it's a hot day. But it's just enough to keep the crop going. And so you could have that crop throughout the winter months. You're welcome. I hope you give it a try.
Where the Russian kale, now that sounds a little specialized.
It's really not that specialized. I think they have it at Hall's Feed, and they have it at Russell's in Collierville. So both of those places are in Collierville. Yeah.
I bought some at Dan West,
Oh, okay.
Siberian kale.
Yeah, nice. And when you have a frost, it kind of wilts,
But
and then
it
it
comes
jumps
back
up.
up.
And it's sweeter. So you really don't mind a frost.
Also forgot mustard greens, turnip greens.
All those good things. Yeah, yes.
So I started hydroponic planting, and I got a good plant, but my broccoli grew a good plant, a height. But when I transplanted it to a pot, it died. So I need some information on how to keep it from dying when I transplant it.
Well, I can't answer that.
Okay.
So I had some lettuce that I started, and it's fascinating. I mean, there's a whole thing about how to do that. I've been watching these different Filipino channels, and it's been awesome. But so I had lettuce, and some I put into hydroponics, and some I put into dirt, and some I planted outside, and they all turned out. But I didn't go from hydroponics to dirt, because that might be a shock for the roots. It's such a different environment that's probably going, what happened? Sort of. But if it's that large, isn't it ready to eat?
Well, no, but the flower hasn't come out for the broccoli, so
Got it.
it gets tall, the broccoli grows really tall.
Well, it only grows that tall. Is there enough light?
It's growing in a hydroponic, container, so it goes.
But the light.
The light grows, yeah, it grew to the light, so when it got tall enough where the light was, where it couldn't grow anymore, I took it out and put it in the
Got it.
pot.
So I'm wondering if the light was strong enough.
Okay,
Because when you grow broccoli in a garden, it doesn't keep going like that without a flower. That's unusual.
okay.
So I'm going to suggest your light doesn't have enough power.
Okay.
You might check Spider.
Thank you.
They run a sale every so often. Any other questions? All right. It's been a pleasure to be here this evening and to share some of the things that I really love to do. And I hope that you give it a try. Try something new. All right. Thank you.
Yes. Reni, thank you so much. Do you want to pull numbers for door prizes? Did everybody get a ticket when they came in today?
Yes, I do.
And if anyone needs one, you would raise your hand. There's the last one.
And there's a hole in this. So you're ready to go.
I think everybody's got the ticket. We're gonna let Eli pull?
Yes,
All right.
for sure.
Pull a number, Eli.
117148.
148.
That's actually me.
Oh! I can tell you he was not peeking.
Are you sure? Sure.
We got what, 2 more to go?
What do you want? Say what you want. Oh, yeah, Eli, go ahead and choose something. Yeah.
Come on, say it. 11752.
752.
Is it 715?
It's not spider, S.
It's 77.
Like a real spider.
It's 11715.
All right.
This is spiders. Spider farms.
All right, go ahead and choose something. And Evelyn,
The
what
red
do you
neck.
say?
Yeah. Oh, here it is.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome.
This.
And then here's the book.
All right. All right,
One
moving
more.
this along.
One more.
All right, Eli, pull out another number.
All that, anything on the floor.
Anything on the floor.
One,
The book is
six,
seven.
all right.
But the rosemary goes with.
Here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, there's-
Okay. Here we go. All right, pull another one. Uh-huh.
11715. Oh.
Yeah, 150. They all start the same. 150. All right, come on down.
I'm excited.
Come on down. I know. So this is inspiring. Decisions. What's that? Yes. He pulled.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I didn't know they were all.
I
can have this one?
Yes.
Yes.
You can have it. That is yours.
I'm so excited.
I actually have one of those at home, and I planted
11715.
stinging nettles,
161.
so they
For the
wouldn't go
last 3
places.
digits.
But that's because
Yay, come on down.
it's a good one.
It's a good nettle tea.
I didn't never heard of that before.
Oh, don't forget your drink.
Or your,
Thank
your watering.
Eli.
Thank you, yes.
Never mind.
Oregano
Never
and
mind.
rosemary do well in the winter. Mine wintered over last year.
All right.
So I can put those in here.
Pull another one.
You could try it.
Try. You may have to protect it a little bit,
716.
depending on what kind of a winter we get.
Yes. Get your thing, your
164.
tablecloth. Put over the top if you
Yeah.
need to, if it's gonna freeze.
164. Yes, come on down.
Winter.
All right, I'll take that one from you. Okay. From here. All right, pull another ticket. Where to go?
11715.
158.
Dancing all around me.
Yay, come on down. Thank you. Oh, I'll take that.
I like the book.
You did a great job selling the sweet potatoes.
163.
163. He's got 163. Yay, come on down.
What are those two things that are left?
This, a container, and then this is really for, it's got some flower arranging foam in it. You can pull it, you can use it again. Soak it in water and then, put your flowers in there. So they're just 2 containers. All right,
One.
pull out the last one.
Come on.
The last one is 166.
All right. Tell you what, you don't have to get up. All right, Eli, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone for prizes tonight. Reni, that was awesome. Thank you for your presentation.
She was talking to you. She told you thank you. That was
Again, we
awesome.
still have refreshments. Feel free to enjoy the refreshments and chat about container gardens. And if you have any questions, Reni is here for just a little while longer and, got some questions about swimming. I'm inspired, yes. I just always thought of sweet.
I hope y'all enjoyed that talk as much as I did. Reni is such a wonderful lady. She has so much to teach. I'm going to try to work with the sound in hopes of cutting it up more. But so much information, and I hope it encourages you to branch out and different ways of container gardening as well. Well, I'm back to family's house, so I'm gonna get my tail inside, get me something made up for my throat. They are spraying the defoliant, so yeah, that's just tearing me up. Everyone, y'all take care, stay safe and sound, and may you each be blessed. I'll see y'all soon. Hoot hoot. Y'all take care.